What's up, folks? I'm Karen, aka the Blerd Girl, and welcome to the Blerd Girl Live Show. Now, tonight, my guests are Krystina Arielle for the first hour, followed by Angélique Roché for the second hour. Now, before we get started, please support Factions Battlegrounds, my sponsor. They're a beautiful tabletop RPG with gorgeous artwork, and it's super easy to learn. Both the creators, Peter Ferry and Jason Creighton, were just on the show talking about the game and how they created it. After this show, go back and check out the second episode of the season right here in OSNYC, where I talk to them about their work. But time is running out, so hurry and pre-order your game right now at factionsbattlegrounds.com. That's factionsbattlegrounds.com. There's a link in the chat for those of you hanging out. Please support them because they are supporting us. Now, my first guest tonight is Krystina Arielle. Krystina is a host, actress, and tabletop role player from Southern California. She's been seen on Critical Role's Honey Heist, Dimension 20's Pirates of Leviathan, Sirens of the Realms, and Into the Motherlands. That's the game that former guest Tanya DePass created. Now, her cosplay has been featured on BuzzFeed, Cosplay Culture Magazine, and more, and she can currently be seen as a cast member of Idol Champions Presents Unfair Seas. And of course, she's the host of Star Wars The High Republic Show on StarWarsWars.com and the Star Wars YouTube channel. Welcome to the show, Krystina Arielle.
I just turned my mic on. Happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here too. First of all, wings. I am here for this. I was like, either she's wearing them or they're on her chair. Either way, I am here for this.
I'm very excited about it. I love these wings so much, and it's not even one of those things where I'm like, oh, I would wear them all the time. I will walk around my house with wings on, and I have a 1-year-old, so that's daring.
I also think that that's hilarious. Also, I couldn't do this because I'm clumsy, and half of this bookshelf would be down. I just... So the first thing that I always ask every person that comes on the show is, what are you reading, watching, and playing to stay sane right now?
Ooh, okay. So I just finished a rewatch of One Tree Hill because it's one of my favorite shows, and I watch it all the time. It's kind of like Doctor Who. It's like a comfort blanket show.
Mm-hmm.
And this last rewatch was interesting because I hadn't rewatched it in a while. So that's actually been really fun. I am currently reading Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. So that's been fun. And let's see. Reading, watching, what was he listening to?
Anything. Yeah. Podcasts or...
Oh, playing.
And playing.
I obsessively played Disney Emoji Blitz on my phone, because I need to have a game where if your baby is asleep on you, you can only use one hand to get it done. So that is my life right now. So I do that and a little bit of the Candy, like Toy Blast.
Mhm.
Lots of iPhone games over here right now because but I've also been playing. Oh my gosh, so I have to tell you about this game on Oculus too. Okay,
Okay.
so I got an Oculus for Christmas, and there's a game called Supernatural, and it's kind of like Beat Saber, but instead you have these coaches, like real life coaches that you see, and then they have a really updated music list, and it's super exciting. And so you're like dancing to Lizzo and like beating the thing, and it's like full range of motion. It's very exciting. I love it. And you also are in a volcano. You can be in like Reykjavik. It's fantastic.
Oh my god, okay, so
It's a great game.
I got an Oculus in the fall also. So, is it for the new Oculus or can any Oculus handle this?
You should be able to handle it on either.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's on both, but it also like it syncs to your if you have an Apple Watch, it syncs to that. It'll sync to your phone, and it'll give updates to your like fitness apps that tell you like, oh, I got this many steps. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to do this for 30 minutes a day, and that's for my mental health.
I'm gonna have to try that. I really did like Oculus, and I was scared because I was like, I might never come out. I like it here.
It's not. You can watch Netflix in your Oculus too, and there's like a light
Yes.
that dims. You're in the theater, and I'm like, ooh, I'm on a space station. This is exciting.
The other thing that's also really funny is my cat's reaction to it. My cat doesn't understand what's going on. It's like waving around for Beat Saber. And so by the end of yeah, exactly. By the end of Beat Saber, I am bloody. So,
You
I'm
attack
gonna
me, no, I attack you.
exactly, exactly. And he's exhausted and he loves it. It's just very terrifying. But that's amazing. Um, so what we always do in the first part of the show is go over some of the geek stuff that's been happening in the stratosphere, and that is the lowdown. So welcome to the lowdown section of the show. Now, there's a lot of stuff that happened this week that was really interesting. I want to first start with the new Supergirl that was announced. So Sasha Kaye, I'm saying Kaye, people are saying Callie, but if she's Latina, I think it said Kaye. Y'all tell me in the chat. She is the new Supergirl. And I do believe we have an image of her to show. Yes, there's Sasha. So, of course, the trolls got upset and said that it's not possible for somebody Latina to play Supergirl because Supergirl is white. They are wrong. Supergirl is an alien.
Can I say something about that? Because I have a very strong feeling about that as someone
Might.
someone who cosplays Supergirl. I have a very strong feeling about that. And my feeling is this. If your biggest problem with a person that can fly, shoot lasers out of their eyes, or I don't know, move like a speeding bullet, all of those things, if your biggest problem out of all of those things, not to mention the red hot laser beam eyes, is that this person could be an ethnicity that's not white, your issue is bigger than comic book culture.
It is. In fact, I was going to say I had a different casting idea for Supergirl. We have an image of that. This is the cosplay that she was just referring to. Krystina, Arielle, Supergirl, ladies and gentlemen. And am I wrong? This is
funny.
Supergirl. It's not Superwoman.
I mean, it's whatever you want to. I still say Supergirl because, listen, I grew up in the age of Spice Girls, girl power, and all that.
Yes,
So it's like
yes.
I'm down. But no, I'm very excited about the casting. I think it's really cool, and I think that this is going to be. Imagine finding out that you just got one of the biggest roles of your entire life, and it is going to be a life-changing thing for her. And all I can say is I wish her the absolute best. I want her to go in there and kill it. And the best thing that you can do when people are upset that you got a job is go in there and do a good one.
Absolutely. And the chat completely agrees with you. A lot of friendly faces in here. Tanya says hi. Yeah, hi, Mary.
She
how
sent
are
me
you?
popcorn. She sent me Garrett's popcorn, 2 big boxes. It got here
Oh my
last
God.
night, and I love Tanya so much.
I love Garrett's popcorn. Tanya, you don't understand. I was in Chicago once, and this is totally a tangent, and I literally had been there for C2E2, and I had not been able to get to a Garrett's, and I was walking around O'Hare like I need to get a Garrett's popcorn before I leave. Garrett's popcorn found me on Twitter and DM'd me and asked me what terminal I was in and directed me to the booth. Garrett's is amazing.
We're talking about flexes. That's a flex, my dude. Like Garrett's popcorn is like, no, girl, come over here and get your popcorn. You want caramel? What you need? We got you.
Exactly. I was like, I need my mix and I need it now. Cause you know what? There is a Garrett's here in New York. Haven't been there since the Panorama. But before the Panorama and the Parallelogram started, I used to go there and it wasn't always as warm as you get it in Chicago. Like when you get it right there, that was an issue for me. But there is a Garrett's here. So shout out to everybody that's in the chat. This is the lowdown section of the Blerd Girl. I am Karen Mahoran, aka the Blerd Girl, and I'm hanging out with Krystina Arielle. Now, something else that we have to talk about, because we were just talking about this before the show started. We can't stop bopping to the Agnes, right? Agatha all along. Like, yeah, we can't stop bopping to this, including the remix. But I just want to also give a shout out to my girl, Monica Rambeau, who is finally getting her due. I know, right? Let's give her a Wakanda salute. Like, we are very proud of the fact that
I love you, Monica. I love you.
We all do. This is a Monica loving show, especially tonight. So I have an image of Monica that I wanted to show you, Tiana Paris from the show, when she does that superhero landing and she looks up. Also, once again, shout out to the superhero twist out. We are here for it.
Shout out to your hairstylist.
Yes. I was so excited by this. One, she's got the colors. Two, she clearly has powers. What was your reaction to this whole episode, especially her?
Okay. So I am a super Monica Rambeau fangirl. It has been my dream cosplay. I got to do it at NYCC, and it is. I got to go to the Avengers premiere in that costume.
I think we might have a. I did all the research, girl. This is her original costume from 1999. For those of you who don't know, Monica Rambeau first appeared in the annual Amazing Spider-Man and number 16. This was her look. And this is, yes, of course, the Amazing Krystina Arielle cosplaying as
Captain Marvel, Spectrum, Photon, Phase, like
Pulsar, Lady of Light. They stayed changing her name, but her powers are still incredible. So I'm sorry, I cut you off. Tell me what you thought.
Oh my gosh. I was so ready for this. And when they announced her, I remember when they announced at like Comic-Con that she was coming, I was in tears because it was like, finally. And to know how powerful Monica is, and then to just see all of that build up to it, and her costumes, like her Geraldine costumes were fantastic. To see her come back through, to see her eyes glowing, everything about it was just a beautiful moment. And to think about the fact that she is so powerful, and to have her like her and Wanda, like two of the most powerful Avengers. And of course, like Monica was the leader of the Avengers at one point. So it's really, really exciting to have her in that moment. And I am just, okay, so I also have been a really big Tiana Paris fan because she was on the show called Hand of God. I think it was on, it was one of the earlier Amazon shows, I believe it was. It's like her, Ron Perlman, and I was obsessed with this show, and she's so good. Like her just, to see her give the performance that she's given, also like hands down, every actor in WandaVision is putting in work. They are putting in work. Catherine Hahn deserved her flowers a long time ago too, because
yes, absolutely.
I mean, that like even her cackle at the end, and I killed Sparky too. Like she is living her best life, and oh my gosh, I love it so much. I was talking to my sister about Monica Rambeau's brown leather jacket the other day, and because listen, if she pops up on that show in a floor length trench coat,
oh my God, from Agents of Hate,
I will lose what is left of my natural mind, because I love her so much. And Tiana Paris, like somebody posted some pictures today and they were like, nothing but respect for my Captain Marvel. And like this woman is just radiant and glorious and beautiful and talented. It's like, how do you not stand? I'm so
Thank
excited,
you.
and I think,
And I,
oh, and I think about it. Oh, I love Monica Rambeau so much. Like she was one of my like OG favorite superheroes, and to see her actually being brought into the MCU, and to see her brought in a way that you get to actually invest in her and develop this love for the character off of just the strength of her performance and the strength of how she carries herself. Oh, I love it so
absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. And also I like, even though it's altered from the comics, I like how they're developing her powers and what's happening with her. Also, how much did you stand when she sat there and looked at Wanda like, "Do it."
Oh, that was the most. All she said with one look, bet, just bet. Like that was it, just bet. Oh my
That's
gosh.
what I'm
And
saying. Like, I think everybody in this year of 2021 on Beyonce's internet lost it when, when she said, "Bring it, do it." Now, I have a question though. At the end, when we saw Pietro show up, do you think he's friend or foe? Oh, and clearly I'm spoiling the last
mm,
episode of WandaVision. So if you haven't seen episode 7, sorry.
watch the after credit scene. But actually have a. I'm not gonna go into that because spoilers, all that fun stuff. But I
Mhm,
will
mhm.
go into one of my favorite things about WandaVision. This is as someone who, like, as a lot of people, if you follow me, you know, my stepdad, my dad, he passed away in April from COVID. And this last
I'm
year has
sorry.
been a giant festival of grief. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot that I see in myself, in Wanda, and in Monica trying to like save something or like help, but also with Wanda, like, I'm going to evade and just go into my life and just try to avoid all these feelings. To see grief being tackled in a way, because you think about it in all these superhero movies. I make a joke every time I go and watch a Marvel movie, and I say, who pays for the property damage? But who also pays for? There was a show about that on NBC. It had Vanessa Hudgens
Yes.
on it and Alan
Yes.
Tudyk. It was really great. It was
Yes.
actually a really good
Yes.
show.
I
But
think
you
it was
think
based
about
on a
like the
comic
people that
too,
live in
yeah.
those towns, the
Yep.
people that live in those towns, and the people that have to like deal with the after effects of it. And Wanda had like a big loss. Like it was a very huge loss. Monica is coming out of the snap and like doesn't have her mom anymore. And the loss of a parent is something that you never prepare for. Like no matter if you know something like is happening, like you can't prepare for that. So to see it being given the actual respect in this story that it deserves, like I think that's the joy of Disney Plus and what they're able to do with the MCU and actually take these stories a little bit further and like flesh them out. It is beautiful to see trauma not reduced to something that's just being brushed over. Like this whole thing is a trauma spiral. And being people who are living in a personal pan pizza right now, like we are living in a trauma spiral where we barely have time to process anything. So I think a lot of people relate to WandaVision on that level of just seeing grief in a story and dealt with in a way you
Absolutely.
would not expect from a comic book property, but it is being handled in a respectful way that I really appreciate.
It really is, and I also think that even when you look at just Wanda's character, first of all, shout out to Jimmy Woo. I need him to have his own show so badly with Darcy. It's not even funny. But
Stephen Ford has a
how
campaign for that. I love it.
yes, I saw. I am excited because of how he was her ally when people were like, no funny nicknames, nothing like that. Because people don't realize how derogatory the term Scarlet Witch was back in the day. I actually met a woman because she's supposed to be Romani. People don't realize that. And
Mhm.
calling people witches or gypsies is a derogatory term for somebody who is Romani. So the fact that they actively have not called her Scarlet Witch and have just called her by her name says a lot. And it also says the other thing, they were quick to write back in the day, and I'm talking about golden age, write Wanda as just crazy. And
Mhm.
I love the fact that it's not that it's grief. And as you've just so eloquently explained, and I lost my dad years ago, and grief doesn't have a schedule, and it does not look like you think it looks on television. It does not matter what you think. So it will, the way she's responding to things, which seems really like erratic, that's great. Even the way, like you said, I was about to say Tiana, no, Monica just dives into work. Yeah, kudos to the writers, and I'm just really, really excited about. Look, I don't know what we're gonna do when the season finale hits, because it's gonna be how long till the next season?
But then we've got
Yeah, we've got Falcon and
Bucky
Winter Soldier.
Falcon.
Yes, we do. We do have Bucky, and let me tell you
Cut the
something.
check. Cut the check.
I cannot wait to see them. Also, I'm really excited to see Carl Lumley is cast in this show, but they have not said who he is. And I've said multiple times, if he is playing Isaiah Bradley and they bring that storyline into this, the Black Captain America that was like injected with the serum as an experiment, you will hear me scream from there. I'm in New York, y'all. She's in California. You will hear me yell.
I'm fighting the urge to run to my like comic cabinet right now and grab I have the Black History Super Soldier story that they did.
Yes,
with Captain America.
Red,
so
yes, truth.
Red, white, and blue. It's so good.
Yes, I'm so excited. Now we can talk about this all night, but I also want to talk about a couple other things. One, I didn't have time to to put any images for this together, but for those of y'all who missed it, I don't know if there's any horror fans of there, Korean horror movie fans. Train to Busan is an amazing horror movie. If you have not seen it, you should see it. It's on Netflix. In fact, do yourself a favor and hurry up and see it, because apparently there's going to be a US remake. I don't know why. I don't know if Scarlett Johansson's starring in it, but I'm just telling you that I don't think this should be done. Just like I didn't think they should redo Old Boy. Yeah, I said it. Let me know in the chat how y'all feel about Train to Busan, because it is one of the most well-written horror movies. It's a zombie film, Krystina, if you're not familiar. And the whole thing takes place on a high-speed train. The one thing that we don't have here in the United States.
High-speed trains.
So if we have a show, a movie about it here, what are they going to do? Put it on the A train that's late? We're all dead then. That train's never on time. Like, what are we going to do? Put it on the subway in California? Don't y'all have one of those? It goes around in circles.
Oh, the Metro? The Metro is basically the subway. You know what's... Oh my gosh. So if you ever have a chance, I will send you the link for it. But Dr. Mzilikazi Kone, who is also my aunt, she has a deep study on the history of zombies and how they tie into Black culture. And it's actually extremely fascinating going back. I really have to send you the thing.
Please do. Does it go into some any Haitian lore? Because I do know there's a very, and we don't have time to go into this.
She spends a lot of time in Costa Rica. Like her husband's from Costa Rica. She spends a lot of time there doing her research as well. She's fantastic. I got some text for you, girl.
Yes, I need to sit. Everybody in the chat's like, I want to know.
I will post it. Actually, you know what? I did a speaking engagement at Pomona College, and I think the live is somewhere in my tweets. Look at your own risk, because I do speak very strongly about things that I feel strongly about, and I try to be very honest and speak truth to power, because that's who I am as a person. But it's down there somewhere, so go enjoy. You might learn something.
And that's why we love you. We love you because you speak truth to power and you always stand in your truth. That is why I'm so excited to have you on the show. The other thing that was announced this week was, y'all ready? Get over here. Mortal Kombat movie was fun.
I saw that movie in theaters, the original. That's how old I am.
That's a mommy flex.
On Fort Benning, in Fort Benning, Georgia, with my dad at a movie theater next to a Burger King that was also a Photoshop place where you could go and like take family photos. We took our family photos there. I got Burger King there, and there was a PX in the parking lot.
That's amazing. Oh my God, I want that movie.
We gotta go.
as soon as the personal pan pizza is over, I will come out to California and we will find a drive-in. Cause oh my God, I do. That's one thing I do miss. I do miss sitting in a movie theater. And I know people are like, oh, you can go. And I'm like, no, we can't.
Nah.
So
I got on demand. I'm good.
I have some images from the trailer that dropped. And yes, Liu Kang with Ludi Lin. For those of you who are thinking he looks familiar, remember he's been actually in a lot of things. Remember that little there was a Netflix show, a little Netflix original that had Anthony Mackie and Yahya Yahya Ben. Sorry, Ben. And there was
Oh, are you talking about it was the episode of Black Mirror?
Yes. And remember the guy inside the game that played, well, he was a guy inside the game. The little martial arts dude in the Street Fighter game that they would go into. Remember
something
that guy?
Dragons. I can't remember what the name of the episode was, but it was something Dragons.
And remember when they would go in, their avatars were a guy and a girl?
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy. Ludi Lin was that guy. And he's also playing Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat.
Dope.
There's some other people. Yes, we have Jax versus Sub-Zero. And yes,
Jimmy Olsen?
Yes, Jimmy Olsen is ripped. Jimmy Olsen is Debo.
Was also on True Blood. He was also on True Blood.
Yeah. Yes. He's actually, I think he's even bigger than he was in True Blood. They had him on the superhero diet for this. Who else do we have? I think we have Melina. Okay. So I wanted to show the Melina shot because there was a lot of people who had issues and questions and comments. So for those of you who are curious, this is Melina and her teeth do look different than in the game. I would like to know in the comments what you think about this shot. I personally think, I don't want to say it's unfinished. I just feel like it could be her teeth look kind of filed down versus what we're used to seeing. What do you think? And who did you miss from the trailer? Now, did you ever play this game? Krystina,
Yes,
did you ever
did.
play Mortal Kombat? Who was your favorite
I played
character?
Mortal Kombat on Super Nintendo.
There you go. Who was your favorite character?
Yeah. It was. Listen, I actually liked Sonya Blade.
There you go.
Who was that lady that played her in the original movie? She was in everything back then. She was Billy Madison's girlfriend.
Now I gotta look it up.
Oh my gosh. She played Billy Madison's girlfriend. She used to be in everything because she had that perfect like snarl face that she could do.
Oh my God. Now I gotta look it up. 1995, the 1995 Mortal Kombat?
Yes. Was it
is it Bridget Wilson? Bridget Wilson?
Is that
no?
I think it
Somebody tell us in the chat. I'm very curious. Yeah. The chat is saying Bridget Wilson. Brigitte or Bridget. I might be saying it wrong. Wilson.
No, I think you're thinking Brigitte Nielsen so it's crossing over with Brigitte Wilson. I'll say this.
Somebody said
I'm not gonna
go ahead.
I'm not gonna I feel like it's kind of like the thing with Will Smith and Aladdin. I want to see the finished product before yes, I can have my thoughts as a fan of a property, but I also want to give things a chance. And so I think if I'm looking at the Melina first shot, I'm thinking that kind of looks really badass. Like the way, anybody that's licking a knife in the middle of a battle, I'm like, yeah, girl, do that. It's a powerful, the imagery of it is super powerful. So I can understand why they did it. But obviously, that people aren't going to they're going to dissect every aspect of it. But if I'm looking at it just, oh, look at this. I'm getting a new Mortal Kombat movie that hopefully is not the second Mortal Kombat movie. So it's going to be I'm going in with the hopeful. I'm going in. It's kind of I feel that way. I give everything a chance except for the Dragon Ball movie, which I still think about a lot.
Nope, that doesn't get a chance. We don't know her. That movie and the live action.
Sit down, Steve from Shameless. You are not Goku.
Nope. that and the live action Death Note and the live action Ghost in the Shell, we don't know them. Not here.
Mm.
Um, but I can't share this till next week because of an embargo, but I can say I was on the set back in 2019. I got to do a set visit, and I will tell you that the fight scenes are going to be insane. Some people were like, "Oh, but what if the story isn't that good?" I'm like, "Okay, I don't think anybody is tuning in to Mortal Kombat thinking they're getting a Kenneth Branagh Shakespeare movie, okay?" But
Or a
I do
Scorsese.
that's what I'm saying. But I really think that it is it's going to be a lot of fun. And the thing that I will tell you guys next week is exactly what's going on and exactly what I saw when I was there. But what I will say is some of the characters, like, first of all, a lot of people are doing their own stunts. The guy that's playing Sub-Zero, if anybody knows that really amazing Indonesian fight movie, Raid and Raid Redemption, he was in that. He was one of the cops from that. One of the guys that is playing, I'm trying to think of all the different characters right now. One of the guys that is playing, I don't think it's Kano. It might be, no, it's not Kano. It's either Shang Tsung or one other character, but two people that are in the cast are part of Jackie Chan's team. Like, they're literally
That's impressive.
That's what I'm saying. So we're gonna have fight scenes without cuts and things like that. And if you are a fan of what I remember doing with my dad was Sunday morning martial arts films and watching all those, I'm really excited for this film. And I do wish we could see it on the big screen, but I am fine with my living room.
Okay, so this is totally off subject, and I have to ask you a question. Have you ever seen the animated Tekken movie?
Yes. Oh wow.
I had it on VHS. It's one of those things. Like, it was one of those like deep dive. The PX was having a big sale on base kind of
Yes.
situations, and my dad came home and he had that, and he had like all of the like Trunks saga on
Oh
VHS when
my
they used to like all the
God.
remember when all the Dragon Ball movies used to line up on the side and you could like it formed like one
Yes,
big picture.
exactly.
So I don't know. When I think about Mortal Kombat, for some reason, I think about the fact that Tekken, the animated movie, was just ridiculously fantastic. And that's what's in my head right now. I don't know why.
No,
Like,
and that's
I'm like, oh, we're talking about Mortal Kombat, but I haven't seen that movie yet because it's not out. But you know what I am thinking about? I was thinking about a bicycle kick. And then that linked to another thought in my head, which linked to a look at Raiden standing there. And then I was like, oh, you know what's really cool? The Tekken movie.
See? And this is why I love you, because that's my brain. People are like, how did we get here?
Yes.
Don't worry about it. We're here. Which brings me to my next question. What is a movie or a show or something that you will stand like till you die? Like, it doesn't matter what anybody says about it. This is your movie. Or show. It could be a show.
Okay. Listen. This is a tie, and I don't care what anybody says about these two things. I will die on these hills. Grease 2, which is the
Oh
far
my
superior Grease. It is. I'm going to tell you why Grease 2 is one of the greatest movies of all time. Do you understand that Stephanie Zanoni stood on stage, Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman herself, during the era when she took a bus to Hollywood to go and do Scarface and to do Batman Returns and to do Grease 2? This woman sang Cool Rider on a ladder. She sang Girl for All Seasons, broke down in the middle of her performance. In the middle of her performance, dressed like a Christmas tree. And she sang, turn back, whoa, turn back, whoa. She did Love Will Turn Back the Hands of Time by herself. She's on a stage. She was in a group and she won the whole talent show. And you know the best part of her winning the talent show, singing a song by herself as a part of a group? The dude that was singing the solo with her wasn't there because she thought he was dead, but she was singing to his like corporeal, like to his ghost-like form, and he's up there. Remember, like it is the greatest moment, and it gets not the respect that it deserves because it is so powerful. I love Grease too, but also my other favorite movie is Freeway, starring Reese Witherspoon, which is one of her most underappreciated movies of all time. It's got her, it's got Alana Ubach, it's got Bokeem Woodbine. It is a fantastic movie. It is Reese Witherspoon at her absolute best. And there is a part where she is in the courtroom and it's like he comes in with Brooke Shields. It's like a modern retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. Mm-hmm. And he comes in and she, like, he had tried to assault her. She ends up like shooting him. And he walks in the court and she's like, I can't believe a teeny weeny gun made such a big mess of someone. And she's watching him on TV at one point while she's still in jail for shooting dude. And he's like, talking, like trying to get sympathy, telling this story about like how he's like the victim because she shot him even though he tried to assault and murder her. Mm-hmm. And she goes, my dick may not function, but I have not lost my smile. It is it is like the most ridiculous movie, but I love it so much. It is so. Brittany Murphy is also in this movie. Brittany Murphy plays her bunkmate in prison.
But that was the time that Brittany Murphy actually was doing a lot. Like that was a weird thing. And that's why like her death
but it was pre-Uptown Girls Brittany Murphy. It was pre-Uptown Girls Brittany Murphy. It was like
when she was still thick. When she was still thick.
She was still had red hair before she went blonde. It was, oh my gosh, this movie is so good. And I like, those are two movies where if they're on, it's kind of like Love and Basketball. If it's on, I'm watching it. I watched Love and Basketball a week ago and I was like, oh my gosh. One, way to take your grief out on your girl, my dude. Like, you're mad at your dad. You're not mad at Monica. Like, why are you doing Monica so dirty? Like this, I remember watching that in ROTC when I was in high school. We had like 2 days where we didn't have to do anything and we were supposed to be map reading. And we talked our teacher into letting us just watch Love and Basketball. So we spent 2 days just like watching. Sorry.
I'm just stuck on ROTC and having
I was in ROTC. I was on Saber team. I was on rifle team. I sang the anthem. I did the presenting of the colors, like everything.
That's amazing. Oh my God.
I am a ROTC girl.
You're ROTC, but you never enlisted. You never like joined the army or anything like that.
So I'm from a military family. My dad and my stepdad, between the two of them, did over 40 years in the military. And so I did go to take my ASVAB and my dad told me absolutely not. And he would not he was not having it at all. So that's like a whole nother story and saga and all that kind of stuff. But it is one of those things where I did like go to like do all of this stuff. And my dad was like, why don't you go and try something else? And I was like, whatever, I'm going to fall. I don't know what I'm going to do. And you know what? I'm 35 and I just figured out what I wanted to do like 3 years ago.
I don't think anybody has it together before 30 at least. So actually, let's talk about what you want to do because now you are a professional geek. And isn't it fantastic getting paid for
it? That's my real life.
So
I sold cars, I waited tables, I managed restaurants. Like if you're going to tell me that like when I was literally a year ago, like 7 years ago yesterday, while I was doing a tent sale in 98-degree weather in Columbus, Georgia, trying to sell a car so that I could get a break, that I was going to end up like doing what I do now, like I'd be like, I mean, I believe you a little bit.
Just a little bit. Well,
just a little bit because I believe in myself.
No, but see, that's the thing. When everything that you've ever done, even the first time I saw you, which I really feel like was on Critical Role, I was like, oh, I must have missed it. She's been doing this forever. I just didn't know who she was. Like you've always had that energy to me. So I'm curious, how did you get to D&D? Was it red carpets and then D&D? Was it what came first? How did you get into geekdom? For people in the chat,
the chicken.
For people in the chat who are confused, right now we are getting into the breakdown segment. So this is the breakdown segment of the conversation where we find out what our guest does and why they do it and why they're so amazing. So break it down for us. Tell us about the chicken.
Okay, I'm going to try to say this as succinctly as possible because I am very long-winded. So essentially, 6 years ago, I was sitting down. I worked, like I said, or 7 years ago now, I was selling cars and I was a bartender at a restaurant called the Pickle Barrel. And I was in Columbus, Georgia, and I was really miserable. And I sat down one night and I said a prayer and I said, God, if you open a window, I'll jump out at you. Open a door, I will run through it. But I can't be here anymore because I am absolutely sad and miserable. So that next day, my job called and they said they were going out of business in like a week at the Pickle Barrel. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on Facebook and I'm going to set a date. And that's the date that I'm going to say I'm moving to LA. I'm going to move to LA. And people were like, liar, crazy. It's like that Casey Musgraves song, Blowing Smoke. Like, that's my life. Or like, people think you're just blowing smoke. And I was like, no, I'm really going to move. So anyway, I move and I get to LA, drive 36 hours across country, get here, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I ended up meeting my husband a month after I moved here, my now husband, a month after I moved here, got engaged after that, was like, hey, I really want to get back into cosplay because my big dream was, hey, I want to do one really big sci-fi property so I can go to conventions free for the rest of my life and just hang out with people. And he was like, okay, whatever you want to do. And I was like, yeah, I want to go to a convention. So I got dressed up as Gwenem and I went to a convention. My first Hollywood job was actually in the Library of Arts video. I played Nichelle Nichols' character, Lieutenant Uhura, in the Now You Have the Bridge Spock video. And I'd met Bonnie because my husband is a magician at the Magic Castle and she was there. And so we met like via that. And she's like, oh, do you want to be in this video? And I was like, oh, cool. I'd love to do that. So while I'm standing on the set of the video, I say, you know what? If nothing else comes of this, if I never work again in Hollywood, I just want Nichelle Nichols to know what this means to me. And I want her to like see this video. Like, I will die happy if I know that this has happened. So I end up booking a gig to work with Iona Morris, who played Storm in the X-Men animated series, for a weekend at a convention, who is next to us at the very next table the weekend that the Now You Have the Bridge Spock video came out. Nichelle Nichols for 2 days of us hanging out, me and Iona Morris, who I lived X-Men the animated series. Storm was my whole life. And we sat there and I talked to her. She told me like stories that I already knew, but to hear them from her was just like inspiring, and how Martin Luther King told her not to quit because she was the first African-American woman in a non-service role on television. And to just have that moment where it was just like, I got to spend those days with her. And I came the second day the video came out and I was in my Mirror Mirror cosplay and she looks at me and she goes, pew, 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 you got on my outfit. And we got to
that's
sit and watch.
amazing.
There's video of me watching the video with her. So I do that. And then I like at one point I was working in real estate. I told my husband, I was like, I want to go into entertainment. I wasn't happy at my job. I ended up leaving and I was like, I'm going to work in entertainment. I'm not taking another check. I took that Peter Dinklage approach where he was like, I'm not taking another check unless it's in entertainment. So I went and I was like, I'm going to go full scale into this. And the week that I left my job, I've had a gig at least one gig a week since I left there. And I went from doing that. I was like, oh, I'm doing cosplay. And then I ended up in Cosplay Culture magazine. I did the shoot with BuzzFeed for the One Black Woman for Superheroes. And then I had a sit down coordinated by my friend Mobius. Hey, Dougie. And he was like, hey, I want you to meet this girl. And it was Satine Phoenix. And she was like, hey, we had like a 2-hour lunch that was supposed to be like a 30-minute sit down, 2-hour lunch. We ended up hanging out, basically falling in friend love, sitting together. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love you. I love you too. And she was like, hey, one day would you like to play D&D? And I was like, I've always wanted to play D&D, but like I'm from a small town where it wasn't exactly like the most accessible thing for me to find a game to go and play. She invited me. I played my first D&D game live on stream for Sirens of the Realms, which is my character Ariza, who coincidentally launches tomorrow.
Wait, stop. That was the first time you played D&D, was live on a stream on Critical Role?
No, on Sirens of the Realms.
Sirens of the Realms. Okay, because I was
on
like,
Sirens
wait.
of the Realms. Oh no, that's a year later.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
I end up doing Sirens, and it like I fell in love with it. And actually, that character tomorrow launches in the game Idle Champion. She's now a canon character in the video game, and she has not one, but 2 natural hairstyles. She has braids, and you can get her with an afro for her pirate outfit. And I'm really excited about it because I never thought that would be something that actually happened, but I'm really excited about it. And I'm
Whoa.
also doing a show in conjunction with that called Idle Champions Presents The Unfair Seas, DM'd by B. Dave Walters, who I also played with in Pirates of Leviathan and who is one of the developers of Into the Motherlands. So anyway, okay, so I did Sirens, and then that kind of branched out into everything else. And then I did my first short film ever with your guest from, I think, last week, Cheyenne. Cheyenne did
Yes, Cheyenne the Geek. Yes.
she directed my first short film that I was ever in. And I basically have not stopped working at all, even while I was pregnant for the last 4 years. I think I'm still tweeting work stuff up until the day that I gave birth to my baby. And then as soon as I got done, there's a picture of me from a photo shoot after I had the baby where I'm like breastfeeding, getting my makeup done, getting ready to go do an Elhofer shoot. And so essentially, like, I've manifested my life in that way where it's like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to go and I want to create, and I'm not doing it for anybody else. I just want to live what I love. I get to do what I am passionate about. I get to talk about what I'm passionate about, and that feeling. And I feel like the love that I have for what I do is why I work as much as I do, because I love getting to create. And also my kids think I'm cool. Like the 1-year-old, not so much, but like my 8-year-old thinks I am the coolest person in the world. Cause he's like, if you ask him who's the cooler parent between me and his dad, he will say me
Because mommy has angel wings? Hello.
so
What kid
basically, yeah,
doesn't want
that's the
their
whole story.
you get to play dress up with your kids. They're like, "Yeah, my mom's amazing." Oh my god, you
Yeah.
definitely are the coolest mom on the block. So first of all, I am just blown away because the way you manifested that, the way you said, I'm not going to take another check unless it's what I want to do. That didn't mean you didn't work. It just meant that sometimes you did some free stuff and sometimes volunteered and sometimes
I did
you
a lot of free stuff. I don't do it no more.
right. No. No. Now there are checks and there are people for that. But I commend you. What I want to know is though, what kept you going when there were times that you were getting auditions that would fall through or connections that you thought you made that didn't happen? What was the energy that kept you going? Because I don't think there's a lot of people that don't know how to harness that.
I think the biggest thing that I had to tell myself going into anything creative, anything where you are putting yourself out there, is what is for you will not pass you. And like if I don't get it, it's not for me, and I will cheer for who got it. But the thing is, I am grateful for everything that I do have. I am grateful for every single thing because I know the nights that I've spent doing things that I didn't like doing. I know what I've put into. I feel like for me, one of the biggest things is in 2010, like in the midst of all this creative and all this joy and all this fun stuff, I hit my absolute rock bottom. I was working multiple doubles, trying to pay bills. I was barely keeping my head above water. And I'd also lost my best friend and my grandma in a very short period of time. And I went to the hospital for depression. And I was just like, I can't do this by myself anymore. I cannot do this. And I learned so many tools in my rock bottom that have helped me know that this ain't it. Like, this is not it. Like, the worst thing that could try to break me are things like are not anything compared to the bottoms that I've already seen, to the lows that I have already seen. So for me, every single thing that seems glamorous or any of that, like, I've seen the worst already. Like I've fallen. I have been on my face. I have been on my face crying, praying, whatever it is. And I know that this ride is not forever. I know it's not guaranteed. I know that absolutely nothing is promised to me, not even tomorrow. So I will appreciate every single solitary thing while I'm in it. I will appreciate the friends that I have made while I am in it, because I have gained some of I don't make connections. I make friends. I make lifelong friends, because when I am for you, I am for you. I am ride or die for you. And sometimes it takes knowing like that at the end of the day, all you absolutely have in this life is those people to support you. And at the end of the day, sometimes you're going to be by yourself. You are going to be alone. You are going to be at the bottom. You are going to be crying, and you are going to wonder why you do it. And then you're going to keep going, or you're going to stop. And I'm always going to keep going because I don't let anything break me that didn't make me. And I 1000% believe, like, when I say that I build my life on what is for you will not pass you, I build my life on what is for you will not pass you. And it's not anybody else's to take away. It's not anybody else's to break down. But what it is there is a message. There's what did I say the other day? Because my grandma said it. She's like, there's a testimony in your tears. And every tear I've cried, I get to see, like, I get to live my dream in a way that I never thought would ever be humanly possible. I get to go and create, and I get to put my heart out there. I get to put my soul out there. And no matter what tries to break you or twist what you are or who you are, I get to be exactly who I am, and no one can take my passion or my joy. No one gets to take that joy from me because they don't give it to me. And so when you go out into the world and you put that love out there, that love comes back, that joy comes back, and you have to continue to create. And even when it hurts, like, there's a message in it for somebody, even if it's just you. And that's just how I got to live it.
And now that we're all crying, you have gotten to the welcome. Those of you who are new, you are to the testimony portion of the program. My name is Karen Horn. This is the Blerd Girl, and this is the Blerd Girl Live. And my guest is Krystina Arielle, who is just blowing my mind here with her story and her journey. And I have said this to people before. I don't know if you know this, Krystina. I'm a stroke survivor. And so there's people that are like, oh, you're having a bad day. You're having this. You're having that. I'm like, you know what? I'm walking. You know what? I could do this. I couldn't do that. So perspective. Also, all of those things that you go to also build your character and build what you know, because you got to turn around and help somebody else. And what you're doing and what you're building, so many people see you. I mean, even the chat, I've got somebody I just saw somebody here from Turkey. Hi, whoever just said they were here from Turkey. How are you? Yes, there's so many things here. And if you need to get a tissue, you can. Quid pro quo,
No,
thank
girl,
you
I'm
so
fine.
much. Yes, there you go. Ogukan Ko. Hi from Turkey. Hi to all of my new friends and families here. Wakandan Mage, you are phenomenal, Krystina. Everybody here knows that you're phenomenal. Ogukan saying, don't cry. I'll cry too. I know we're all crying.
Tears, listen, there ain't no shaming your tears. There is no shaming your tears.
And your grandmother, see, that's the thing. Your grandmother was just speaking through you. And that's what I totally believe. And everybody who has been with you along your journey, your father, your friend, they don't leave you. They've just been transformed. And they're all with you, just like we're with you. I can't tell you, there are so many amazing people that are in the chat. Like it's compliment after compliment after compliment. Yep,
Thank
Crystal's
you.
sobbing. Crystal, you can't sob. You're my producer. I need you to get a tissue.
I love you, Crystal.
2099 Miguel, so true. No one can take the joy from you. Yes, JD Hayes, this was needed to hear, because I need everybody to understand something. We are still living in a personal pan pizza pandemic panorama parallelogram. And there are so many of us, myself included, who have lost people. I have not said this before, but my personal assistant that I started this show with also has COVID. Shout out to Ananya. We are wishing you better health and strength and your family. So a lot of us do this to take our minds off of some of the crazy of the reality. Because when the show's over, I still have a mortgage to pay. I still got to figure out how we're going to stay healthy. It still is a complete and total side mission just to go to the grocery store. Like, we have so many things that we got to do in New York just to stay safe, and precautions and things like that. So to see somebody like yourself, who's also just like us, going through it, talking about not just your highs, but your lows, is so refreshing. Because I think so many people are just tired of the Instagram version of what geekdom is supposed to be. You know, they don't see
Mhm.
the behind the scenes when you burn your finger on the hot glue gun, or when when part of your piece, when your hair piece falls out or whatever, when you're trying to take a picture. They don't see any of that. They just see the good stuff. And we are so proud of you. I am so proud. That's why I'm so excited you were going to do this show. I am so proud of you. I'm your blurred auntie over here yelling and screaming.
But
I
the
am
thing we
really,
gotta, hey, cheer for your friends. Cheer for your
yes.
friends when they win. Because the thing is, it's like Issa Rae said, you don't need to just network up. You need to network sideways. Take somebody with you. Build your friends up. Cheer for them. Root for them. Because it gets real quiet. It's real
It
quiet.
does. It does. And I think also kudos to you, because one thing that I get teased all the time. I game, but I haven't gamed on Twitch yet because I'm afraid that people are going to yell at me and say I look stupid. But you sat up and said, I've never played D&D, but I'll do it for the first time on a live stream. I now have to commend you for that, because I have a fear of looking dumb. But apparently that's in these days in terms of, if you look at TikTok. I So before I let you go, so we heard about Freeway. We definitely heard about well, for those of you, I don't know if anybody can get the animated Tekken now. It might be on maybe Adult Swim. We're gonna have to look that up. Tell us anything else that we should be watching besides, of course, Star Wars High Republic. Um and streaming right now, that you think, when you have these moments and you just need to listen to something or watch something, is there anything that also brings your mood up?
Ooh, okay. So I'm one of those people where I have songs that make me cry and I listen to them in an empowering kind of way sometimes. And okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I taught Sunday school. I was raised in the church. I'm never pushing what I believe on other people, because I believe everybody has what makes them feel strong. And what makes me feel strong is I've always found my joy in gospel music, because it reminds me of my mom cleaning, my grandma cleaning on Saturday, Sunday mornings. And like I remember waking up and smelling like the food, which is one of my favorite things in the whole entire world. Because my grandma used to make these breakfasts that were just like made of all this random stuff. So you'd have like, there was chicken, but there was also rice pudding, but there was also eggs, but there was also like fried bologna sandwiches, which is just great because I don't like breakfast. I like fried bologna sandwiches for breakfast sometimes. So anyway, so I think about that, and I think about like my dad and like that feeling of Sunday morning. And so when I am really sad, I like to listen to a song called Never Would Have Made It.
Yes, my
And
mother loves that
especially,
song.
listen, when I am in a downward spiral, I will listen and Never Would Have Made It. I like cannot tell you how many times in the last month that has been my cry in the shower song, where it's like I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, I'm so much better. And I need that energy. I need that energy of, oh my gosh, by the way, there's a documentary right now on PBS called The Black Church, and it's a 4-part documentary that is fantastic. It's oh my gosh, it's absolutely riveting, especially if you're
Okay.
somebody like I grew up in a place where it's like, I'm from Georgia. I went to church Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday morning, Sunday night. It didn't matter if you had
And then
homework.
revival and vacation Bible study and
Revival
all the other
and revival. But then you also got choir rehearsal, all that kind of stuff. But it's also like the music of that time. And there's a really great segment where they talk about how the music has shaped lots of popular culture music and different things. And so, like, that music is actually designed to be comforting, considering the roots that it has in slave spirituals and different things like that. So there is something that is absolutely restorative and healing in all of that for me. And like, that is what I need. Like I live through music. I am healed through music, and it's not necessarily like, it's not a building or a pastor or anything. It is the music and the hope that it brings and instills, and I need that to get through every single solitary day. I need that music. I need that joy.
And that's incredible. And I thank you so much for sharing that with us and taking time to share part of your life. I was a stan before the show, but I'm definitely a stan now. And like I said, I'm a blurred auntie. You come for Krystina, you come You coming for me, and then my crew and the rest of us, we ain't even talk about Tanya in the chat and that whole crew. So there's no coming for Krystina because you coming for all of us, all right? So you have a new family here, and I just want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Tell everybody where they can see you next and follow you. And you did mention that you're going to be in a game, so I want everybody to know what that is.
Yes, we had our first episode last night, so we have a new episode every Monday of Idol Champions Presents The Unfair Seas, DM'd by B. Dave Walters. It's myself, Vivid Vivka, Aaron M. Evans, and we had Luke Gygax last night as well. It's super, super exciting. I don't know what's going to happen. We've got 5 more weeks of that game. It's every Monday starting at 4 p.m. PST. And also, obviously, next month, the first episode of Star Wars The High Republic show is available on StarWars.com and the Star Wars YouTube. So please watch those episodes. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Be sure to like and give that thumbs up because it's fantastic and it helps where we're going forward. But also, we have a new episode of that coming out in March. So be on the lookout for that. And also, again, if you play the game Idol Champions, or if you want to start playing the game Idol Champions, starting tomorrow, you can play as my character Ariza, and you can get her pirate skin tomorrow too. And she's got a cool little afro, and she's got all white because she wears white into battle, and it doesn't matter if it gets dirty because she has a cloak of many fashions that makes sure she stays clean so that she can look fly in battle. So make sure you play as her because she's really cool. And she's got really cool gold wings and they've got little flecks of jewels in them and it's really, really fun. So make sure that you play that game and watch the show. It's on twitch.tv/CNE Games every Monday. And also watch my show, The High Republic Show, because I get to talk about the High Republic and it's really exciting. And I have a really cool outfit for the next episode. Wink.
You do, and I'm just letting everyone
know. No one's cheated.
Know.
It's not my Jedi robe. It's not the Jedi robe. It's not the Jedi robe. It's a surprise. It's a surprise.
I was about to say, I saw the Jedi robe and people in the chat. Everybody, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. I want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out. I want to thank you, Krystina, Arielle. I love you. I'm telling you right now, I am your biggest fan right now. And everybody out there, please support her in all the places that we just talked about. Don't go anywhere. My second hour guest is coming right up, Miss Angélique Roché of Marvel's Voices. And please don't forget to give a shout out to tonight's sponsor, Factions Battlegrounds. The link is in the chat. Please support them because they are supporting the show. We'll be right back.
original Call of Duty.
What's the options?
The options are
It's D-Day. It's Medal of Honor.
World War One. It's probably 2. I'm just.
and you're saying 2.
He already said 2. It's probably 2. He probably knows.
It is World War II. The protagonist in Grand Theft Auto Vice City was voiced by which actor? Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, or Al Pacino?
The third one.
Ray Liotta, yeah. Facts.
Correct.
Do this, bro.
He's like, just keep it. The classic Atari 2600 game controller has how many buttons?
Does the D-pad count as a button?
No.
I didn't have a D-pad.
It's a bait.
Yeah, 2
That was a
buttons.
bait.
2. Yeah.
He's just copying my answers right now. That's what I'm saying.
What?
Yeah.
It's either alright then 1. Fuck.
These are your final answers?
No,
2.
two.
My answer's 2.
2? 2?
Yeah.
He's copying my answers.
Yeah, you're copying. You should have stuck with your gut. The answer is 1.
The answer's 1? No, it's not. You
Only
lied.
1 button.
Stop it.
Stop.
I hate this.
Which country has banned the sale of the original Grand Theft Auto? I'll give you choices.
North Korea.
France, Germany, Britain, or Brazil? So I think I'm going with Brazil.
I'm going with France.
You're going with France?
I go different. I'll go Germany.
Germany. Yeah. Oh, the answer is Brazil! In 1998, the government of Brazil banned Grand Theft Auto, including an $8,500 fine for anyone caught selling it, due to their belief that the game incites violence.
Nothing will make me want to buy the game more than the government banning it.
Yeah,
I'm like, I definitely gotta play this fucking game now.
I feel like we should do this for the lulz, because I know the OS fam likes Fortnite, and this group doesn't. So,
I'm not even
Missing
Fortnite.
all. Missing now.
what weapon was so powerful that Epic Games pulled it from Fortnite after only 4 days in
Shotgun.
2018? There is the Infinity Blade, the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity Gun, or the Infinity Sword. I think it was either the sword or the blade. I don't know what's the name.
I think it's a sword of the blade too.
Of course you do, yeah.
Alright,
It was in fact the blade, the Infinity Blade. What is the name of the hero from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Mike Tyson.
Doc Lewis, Don Flamenco,
keep on.
Little Mac,
I know this one.
or Mr. Dream?
Okay, it's not me. Okay. Nobody say anything. Well, read the first 3 again.
Okay. Doc Lewis,
Okay.
Don Flamenco, Little Mac, Mr. Dream.
Little Mac.
It's Doc Lewis,
Doc Lewis.
Don Flamenco.
Doc Lewis.
It's either 1 or 3.
You ain't got Doc Lewis.
Oh, you're right!
Let's go, baby! I told you!
Little Mac is but a Wii fighter and can defeat the one-punch wonder Mike Tyson if the gamer is fast enough. The Nintendo Game Boy utilized which type of display system? Plasma, OLED, LCD,
Oh, LCD. That's what it
and
is.
projection.
Plasma.
LCD.
I don't know. I don't even know how they could projection anything, but I think you might be right. Oh, it's LCD.
Oh, man.
Most
My
handheld
screens.
video games from the classic days, Game Boy used a liquid crystal
His plasma
display.
screen, it was after it was like those flat screens. The LCD was like the original bigger shitty screen, so they probably put those
The
shitty
bigger
screens.
shitty screen.
The
Final
last
shebang.
one.
Which video game is generally considered to be the original third-person shooter? Is it GoldenEye 2000? Oh wait, 007. Wow, kill me. Is it GoldenEye?
2007. Bro. Bro.
The year she was born.
Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein 3D, or Doom?
So GoldenEye wasn't third person.
Doom wasn't third person.
Doom wasn't third person.
I think
Duke wasn't
Duke.
third person.
Really, I've never
None
played
of these were
Wolfenstein.
third person.
Person.
I think the question's wrong.
You think it's wrong?
Yeah.
That's the trust
Let's see.
levels I
Let's see.
have.
In the response, it was like first person.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a scrap. That's a scrap. You
That
gotta-
was a good
you
call
gotta-
out. And you got the question. Come on, bro.
I'm so tight.
That was a good call. Uh-oh. You got the hair out.
Not happy.
Good stuff, man.
GG's.
GG's, bro. You did good today.
Yep. I have been funding everything that I'm doing, the podcast, the Blur Girl Live, everything out of my own pocket, and I need some help. So if you are a fan of what I'm writing, building, producing, I could really use your support. There's several tiers, several things for you to choose from. And I'm going to be using the Patreon as a vehicle to let people see a little peek behind the scenes also. So if you are interested in doing some of what I do, I'll be sort of teaching classes, and there will be certain levels where you will be able to take part in a monthly coaching series that I'm going to be doing through Patreon as well. So I hope to see everyone on Patreon, and I really, really can't thank you enough for all the support you've given me so far, and I can't wait to show you what I've been working on. What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Blerd Girl Live. I'm Karen Mahorn, aka the Blerd Girl, and welcome to the Get Down portion of the show. Now, again, please support Factions Battlegrounds, our sponsors tonight, the amazing tabletop RPG game with stunning artwork based on various cultures from around the world. You can still pre-order your game right now at factionsbattlegrounds.com or hit the link in the chat. But please hurry, because the pre-order sale is almost over. Now, tonight's Get Down guest is Angélique Roché. Angélique is a writer and photographer, and she's contributed to everything from NBC News, Sci-Fi Wire, Marvel.com, Rewire News. She's currently the host of Marvel Entertainment's Marvel's Voices podcast, an on-air contributor and host at Sci-Fi Wire, New York Public Radio's live monthly show and podcast, Very Biggest Questions at the Green Space. And she's the creator and producer of her own live stream video conversation series and podcast, Creative Quarantine. She also co-hosts the Women of Marvel podcast. And in addition, Angélique has done work as a part-time host and voiceover artist at Sirius XM Progress and voiceover and digital video work for Vox Creative. She's also, I'm sick of this, a veteran and a lawyer and my old The Radical Geeks co-host. Welcome to the show, Angélique Roché.
What is up, Karen Mahorn? How are you, sis?
I miss you.
I miss you so much. You know what I have like right behind me though? I have my going away present. I don't know if you can see it. It's like tucked like right there.
So cool, yes.
I have my going away present from New York. He's here.
So the first question I always ask every guest, and you knew I was gonna ask you this, is so how are you? What are you doing? And what are you doing to stay sane right now? What are you watching and reading and playing?
Wow. So we're in a
Parallelogram.
a panini.
A panini.
A Pippi Longstocking, whatever you want to call it, right now. So I'm doing a lot that's also work, which is crazy. So what I'm doing for fun is, and I know anyone who hears this is going to be like, for real, that's fun. That's fun, sis. I finished The Last of Us 2 for the second time in 12 months last week. And then I started The Last of Us. And then I realized that this wasn't a good habit. So I moved on and downloaded Days Gone and then realized that was also not helping me out. So I moved on to Infamous Second Son. And so that is what I'm playing right now. Because I just realized I wasn't really doing, it wasn't doing good for my psyche. But I am downloading mini games and playing mini games that I had stored up before I did the cross-country trip here to California. Similar, I moved to California and left the East Coast, and I'm here in LA, which is great. And what I'm watching The Stand, just because now it's like a train wreck that I have to keep watching. Speaking of train wrecks, I am still watching. I'm still watching Snowpiercer. Which also a train wreck I can't stop watching, but the undercurrent of civil discourse and democracy and power to the people is pretty dope. And this idea of destructing leadership structures are always great. So there I am. As you can tell,
Snowpiercer is actually
good.
Snowpiercer is actually this season an actual train wreck. Like there
Yeah,
was
no,
a wreck at the end of last. There was
literally,
literally a train wreck.
literally a train wreck. That was the pun there. I'm also rewatching all of the Twilight Zone because I am obsessed with James Matheson and Rod Serling and their writing and the work of Kyoga and Desilu and all the work that was done with the original Twilight Zone. If anybody knows me, I have a thing called Angélique's Movie Moments. So I am obsessed with this idea of finding any kind of inkling of a source material. I've been like that since high school. So I literally just watched an episode called After Hours and I was like, mannequin, 1986. They're mannequins that come to life. They go out into the world. They live real lives. The manager, he seems like that. Like I'm that person. So I'm rewatching The Twilight Zone, which is always amazing.
Have you been watching any of the 80s ones? Chuck, Chuck. For those of you in the chat that don't know Chuck, Chuck's my boyfriend. Chuck was rewatching some of the 80s ones and they had like Sherman Hemsley.
Oh, the reboot.
Yes, that was really interesting.
It's really, so the 80s ones are really interesting. I'm getting there. I'm starting off with the black and white ones. And if anybody knows, like back then, seasons were like 33, 34, 35, 6 episodes long. So it takes, when someone says they're watching season 1 of The Twilight Zone, don't think it's going to happen in a binge session. That's not how that works. But I am on my way to the 80s. The crazy thing about The Twilight Zone, man, and I love The Twilight Zone so much. Twilight Zone, Creepshow, Monsters, Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, all of those were like one of my favorite things as a kid. I love and suspense and horror anthology. Can't stand a slasher film. Love a vampire, love a zombie, love a good anthology. The crazy thing about The Twilight Zone is like it's doomed to have reboots that are good, but they're never gonna be the original Twilight Zone.
True.
The movie was the only one that gets a lot of love from me.
And I think the second season of Jordan Peele's is pretty good because he went back to the original format, which was the 27-minute type format. When he tried to make it an hour, it was too much.
Well, the build takes too long. And I think that was the secret sauce of it being that 27 minutes, is that the build was just enough that the fake, you were still believing in the build before they flipped it on you.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to say in the chat, we've got, let's see. Well, Krystina Arielle stuck around and she said Snowpiercer is really good. I see.
Miles is my boy.
Yes, I think. Can we trust robots? We are happy you're here too. Who else do we have here? Fat Pat City Universe. Hello, welcome. Oh look, the bouncer's here. Chuck is here. He came by to say hi.
Oh, Chuck, you came.
Quid pro quo, thank you for sticking around. Rexus092, yes, the build is so good on Twilight Zone and gives you just enough to end up in what the fuck mode. And I completely agreed with you. Vita Ayala is here. Vita Ayala's in the house. Vita Ayala was also on the show last season. Welcome.
Hi, boo.
This is so, look at this. It's like a reunion.
I miss everyone so much.
Now, are you gaming besides the sad games? Are you Spider-Manning anymore, or have you?
Oh man, Miles? So I'm on my Game Plus. I'm on my Game Plus on Spider-Man. It is kind of like, it's like my ginger in the middle of my sushi. It's like a palate cleanser because it's just so good, and then you just kind of roll into it, and you're like, I gotta get that. I'm still working on my last suit. We will get there. But yeah, no. That game is. And the thing I love more than the game is seeing folks do their like full-fledged Miles Morales trick videos in the share and just like swing across the city. Like the work James did and the team over at Insomniac did on those tricks, and how every single trick has a different stick, a different landing, a different completion, is just, it's nuts how much work went into that game.
It is. It's incredible. And So now I gotta ask, because you've been really, really busy. You did a live show before I even did this show last year. Your live show was called Creative Quarantine. Tell us about how that came about. And you had some amazing people on there. If you don't know
No,
about
and
it, folks, definitely check out Creative Quarantine over at Angélique. Go to AngéliqueRoché.com and then you will be able to see, get a link to Creative Quarantine if you haven't seen it. But tell us, how did you get that show going?
oh man, so it was a week before everything went on lockdown. If anybody was in New York at the time, that was about when the super spreader event started. Don't want to bring that back for anybody, but that will tell you my mindset. Everything started getting canceled. I'd had 5 trips to LA already out, some stuff, some new podcasts, some stuff I can't talk about because NDAs. But I was like, oh my God, I have nothing to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. All my friends have got to be thinking the same thing. Like, no one's talking about it. Everybody's trying to just say, we're going to get toilet paper and milk. It's going to be great. And I was like, all right, you know what? I could do a show. Like, I could do a show. And so I called up Sarah Storm and Matt Storm, who are really good friends of both you and I, Karima. And I was like, yo, y'all, you want to produce a thing? And so we started booking, and I got real lucky. Anthony Rapp was our first guest, who had just, all puns intended, rapped on the last season of Discovery. And he's just amazing. Like we you know, and incredibly supportive, and was like just totally down from the jump. And we just spiraled from there, right? Like we did, and I did it every single week a little different. First week was kind of a hodgepodge of my friends who I'd worked with in the industry. And then we had a theater week. We had a Broadway week. We had Sierra Renee, who was the first Black Elsa on Broadway. We had James Monroe Iglehart, who was Tony Award winning Broadway performer who played the genie. And then we had Christian Keys. We had Alexander Hodge, who plays on Insecure. And it just was really just great because everybody was just there. We had a comedians week, which was hilarious, with Janelle James and, you know, Kevin Avery. And it was so great because really the conversations were about how are we utilizing this time and not overwhelming ourselves, but also processing, but also dealing with how everything's going on, and how do we as creatives manage being away from our people, being away from our craft. You know, that point Comic-Cons were up in question, shows and studios are being canceled. I remember, I have pictures and remember the last day I was in a studio, and then suddenly it was, okay, so what is the equipment I got to buy from home? How do I learn how to use all of these things? In fact, I'm one of those millennials who's like, I'm not getting on TikTok. And a year later, here I am.
She's on TikTok. No, but I commend you. Well, my mother was sick at the very top of the thing. So I was watching your show from my mother's living room, doing the same thing. You inspired me. You inspired me to do this show along with the weatherman that was fighting with his cat on screen. The local Philly weatherman that was fighting with his animals. I was like, you know what? I think I can try this.
And I think that was the whole point. At the end of the day, was like, we had booked, and at the end of the day, I also realized there's a point where your brain burns. We did 30 shows straight on weekdays, and then I had 3 more weeks booked of folks. And I woke up one day. It was daily. So it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3:00 in the afternoon, every single day on point. Because I also wanted to give folks something consistent, right? Something that they knew every day at 3:00 it was going to happen, except for one day, which was at 2, because I had a day job and I had to pay rent back in New York. But that's a long story, details. And then I woke up one day and I realized that I was going to burn myself out. Like I was going to burn myself out in the first 45 days of quarantine. And it was just one of those, and I learned a lot. Man, did I learn a lot. I learned a lot about set. I learned a lot about setup. I learned a lot about StreamYard and producing things behind scenes. Because you and I are very similar. Like we learned by just getting the hands in and just being like, I'm going to mess this up. In fact, Julie Nathanson will tell you that I got kicked out of my own StreamYard in the middle of our interview. And she held it down and did a very good pencil impersonation for me. She talked about voiceover.
No, I did. Listen, I I did learn from you, which is why this show is weekly and not daily, and which is why it's on OSNYC and not my channel, because I have a team. Because
Ding ding.
I was like, I got friends that are burning out, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
So
It's a lot. But
people
honestly,
really
you did an
underestimate how much
amazing
goes
job.
into it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you
Thank
did an amazing
you.
job. But then I turn around and you're producing things like for the election. So how did
Yeah.
you do that?
So in a pastime life, I worked in philanthropy, and as Karima would like me to remind everyone, I am a lawyer. I have an LLM, and I worked for a senator and worked for inauguration once upon a time, which is great. All those experiences are actually quite applicable to what I do now. And downtime happens, and my friends are like, "Yo, so can you produce?" So I ended up producing a gala for the Ms. Foundation, which was one of my old jobs, which was fun because I also did voiceover for it and directed it, and then ended up doing work for a company called Off the Record and worked with Fair Fight with their campaign Civics for the Culture. And the whole idea was, how do we have the conversation about what civics is when civics is no longer in the classroom? And so I did some work with that. I ended up doing some work with the Frontline, which is a campaign that literally just tries to get people tapped in um, with the Working Families Party. And we did some cool videos with Shashir Zameda, girl, Shashir, don't kill me, with Shashir Zameda. And a couple of other amazing folks, including Keisha Zoller from the Astronomy Club, because one of my passions is, how do we bring creatives into the conversation that means so much to them in a way that is tangible to their skill set and makes them feel like they're contributing with their art? Because sometimes creatives can feel like they are isolated outside of their art and that their art isn't making an impact. And it's such a weird space to be in when you are an artist who also has a political side and has a voice, but you sometimes feel a little constrained because of either a public facing or because someone has just never asked you, right? Like someone's just never asked you to show up and give an aspect. We just actually did something really cool with Valerie Complex with Sundance, and had a conversation about what does it mean to be a Black critic in this space, and how do Black critics influence the type of content we want to support, not just the type of content we trying to get canceled. So yeah.
But what I also think is amazing about what you're doing is you're helping people around you. Like I met you at White Comic Con years ago, and then we've done stuff together for other people. I know we've both met Valerie and other geeks. I didn't even know Matt the Storms. I didn't know this.
The Storms.
The Storms. I didn't. The Storm and Gettins. I didn't know they produced your show. I knew they were involved, but I didn't realize that. So there's somebody else we know, and then they're really good friends with Chuck, and so there's a lot of. It's really weird that it took a personal pan pizza for all of us to find each other and to work with each other, as opposed to when we're all living in the same city together. But so I commend you for that, and I also feel like that's what you have brought to Marvel's Voices, because Marvel's Voices started as a podcast, but you started reaching out to try and elevate people around you that you knew. Let's talk podcast first, and then we'll get to this comic.
Word. So what do you want to know?
I want to know how you got the podcast with Marvel. Like, I think that's what chat was. She has her own podcast with Marvel.com. For you new people in the chat, I'm Karen Mahorn, aka the Blerd Girl. This is Angélique Roché of actually producer, podcaster, writer fame, but she definitely is a producer and host of a little podcast called Marvel's Voices and a comic, which we'll get to. So tell us how you got to have a podcast with Marvel.
Oh man, so I hung out a lot and took some classes at improv scene, which is really, honestly, truly how I got tapped in to some incredible friends who work at Marvel. And the story goes, I was in Bahrain, no lie. I was on tour with a friend of mine. I was being her digital engineer. So basically, I got a chance to go to the Middle East to entertain the troops, take about 4,000 photos, about 1,000 videos, and chronicle 5 Black women overseas in the Middle East entertaining the troops. And like 4 of us were HBCU graduates. And it was something that truly, honestly, had never been before. But we are there. I had kind of gone on sabbatical from my day job because I was burnt. I'm sure everyone understands that feeling. And before I left, I told a friend that I was ready to get out. I was ready to go and commit back to my art. Like I'd done improv, I'd been writing, I'd written for a number of different publications before then. I had already been doing SiriusXM part-time work at that time. And I got this weird email and they were like, hey, this is XYZ from Marvel. We'd like to talk to you about a podcast. And I was like, this is funny. This is not, what is this? So called my friend at Marvel, was like, hey, yo, well, I didn't, I was in Bahrain. I text her, this phone call came next. And I was like, yo, is this real? Like, is this real? Like, do you know this person? Or is this spam? So it was real. I had the most expensive first conversation I've ever had. When we got to Abu Dhabi, I called back over to the States and came back, had our first meeting. I was not initially slated. I was being asked about another podcast. And after our first meeting, did a voice test and the rest is history. We are now 3 years in. We're about to start talking about season 4. It's pretty incredible to think about when you think about the time we started, and when you think about we started off with seasons of 24 episodes. Our last season was 12. We're really excited about that, but we have bonus episodes, and as well as I'm one of the co-hosts of Women of Marvel, which is something that kind of happened while I was there.
That is the Women of Marvel. That is the podcast that had Sana Amanath and your original producer from Marvel's Voices, right? Like they're all on there.
So Women of Marvel started off basically, and Judy Stevens, Sana Amanath, Lorraine Stink was originally on it. Like, I mean, it was literally just the women of new media who worked at Marvel. And it's actually where Voices of Marvel, so it originally was Voices of Marvel, which started at Women of Marvel, and it eventually, once it got its own legs, became Marvel's Voices, which, let me tell you, it was a conversation. But so the whole point is Marvel from the perspective of women, Marvel fans, Marvel gaming, Marvel anything, but also the women who are within, women, non-binary, LGBTQ folks who are within the Marvel space. And it's pretty dope. Like, we just actually replayed one of our latest episodes with Samus, who is dope.
Samus is amazing. Samus is
Iongo
amazing.
is like a dope human being. Like,
yes.
Also, one of my guests on Creative Quarantine, just a dope. Oh, and shout out, provided the theme music for Creative Quarantine. It's actually a Samus song.
I did not realize that. That's amazing. So, tell us how that continued, and then how you were able to go from podcast. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I skipped a part. There's so many of us that want to know. Favorite guest. I'm sorry, chat. Yes, favorite guest.
Oh, on Marvel's Voices?
Yes.
Oh man, come on. There's been like 45 episodes. Favorite guest.
It doesn't. If you don't want to keep it to Marvel's Voices, we can expand it. We can expand it to sci-fi.
I will say my most fun episode I've ever done of a podcast was with you, and it involved singing the Gummy Bears theme song with a nomad, the great Dan Fogler in the basements of Anyone Comics.
Oh my God! When we did the Radical Geeks and Dan Fogler was doing his impressions of Christopher Walken. Oh my God!
So good. Just as a hint, don't ever dare Dan Fogler to sing anything, because he'll know it.
He will sing it as Christopher Walken. He was thinking as Christopher Walken. Okay,
Oh.
so now I gotta ask,
Yeah.
how did you get from the podcast? And yes, she's amazing. Yes, I'm seeing what you're saying. Yes, she's amazing. Samus is
Y'all are
amazing.
so
Thank you for all of
stupid.
you amazing people. And first of all, Deacon Fatal, CWAT 1357, welcome. Welcome to the Blur Girl Live. Welcome to OSNYC. Petite Sarah, welcome to all you new people. This is amazing seeing all you new faces here. Please don't forget to support our sponsors tonight, Factions Battleground, factionsbattleground.com. Angélique was just about to tell us how she went from having her own Marvel's podcast to then being one of the architects on Marvel's Voices, the comic book. Now, am I right? Architect? What's the proper term?
So currently, I am a contributing editor of Marvel's Voices Legacy #1. I've the team has been amazing. Like, honestly and truly, shout out to Chris Robinson, who is the one who came to me one day and was like, "Hey, we're gonna do a book," and I was like, "What? Okay, we're gonna do a book. We're gonna do a book. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great." And he was like, "I need these essays," and I was like, "Great, we're gonna do 7 essays. I'm gonna go get people," and that's actually how we ended up. It was you, Regine, David Betancourt, John Jennings, Tatiana King, like brought in the fam, and just the amazing folks who've been doing the work on the ground. Because I thought it was extremely important to acknowledge the folks who had been doing this work, because the work hadn't just started magically with Marvel's Voices. Like, it didn't magically. Like, I was one of the first writers of Black Girl Nerds. Like, I wasn't the first, right? Like, there were people who were doing all of that work before all of us came about, right? It's like saying Afrofuturism began with Black Panther. It didn't.
It didn't,
and
yeah.
And we basically, that started November, December. We started just piling stuff on, putting people on really tight timelines and turning around some incredible stories. And thankfully, to the amazing response to it, we had the opportunity to come out with Indigenous Voices #1 in November.
And you know what? I want to just show people in the chat so that they can recognize
Okay.
these covers, because you can still get these. So we have for the very first Marvel's Voices, yep, and Marvel's Indigenous Voices. And I don't remember. Oh, it says there that Jim, who did the cover on that one? Who did the cover? I don't remember who did both of these covers, but
So one of them. So go ahead. So I will tell you that the folks who did covers for that one were Kyle Baker is actually my favorite. No offense to everybody. I hate to say this. My favorite cover is the Kyle Baker cover. But you had Damien Scott who did a cover. Like, I just don't want to say this cover because there's so many covers, and I just I want folks who get it. Jeffrey Verigi did variant covers for Marvel's Voices, Indigenous Voices, like there are so many artists, and it's one of the cool things that I love about these books is that it's not just about the main cover, right? Because even for Marvel's Voices Legacy #1, we have a main cover and multiple variant covers to showcase the diversity of talent and also the diversity of voices, not just from like the US, from like around the world, right? Like Natasha Bustos did one of the
Girl and
covers
Devil
for
Dinosaur. Yeah. Yeah,
she did
absolutely.
a Dr. Voodoo cover for Marvel's Voices Legacy #1, and it's so nice.
Oh, I need that because I'm a Brother Voodoo kind of fan. Also, listen, this is a really weird tangent, but it's gonna work. Kyle Baker. I am a Kyle Baker fan because Kyle also drew what we were just talking about in the first hour with Krystina Arielle. He drew Truth, Red, Black, and White, where we got to get introduced to Isaiah Bradley. And I wrote an essay about Isaiah Bradley that wasn't in the comic, but was on Marvels.com that was tied to that first comic. So, around the world, but I brought it back.
I feel like that all worked, and I feel like that is exactly what we were supposed to do.
Yes, that's exactly what we're supposed to do. But I also now, so Indigenous, help me out. Indigenous came out last October?
During Indigenous Peoples Month. So around Indigenous Peoples Day. Let me be very clear. So around Thanksgiving, so in November. Well, let's not call it Thanksgiving. It's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yes. Because Columbus was lost. But I have a
Oh, well, that's
question. What
another
is it like?
conversation.
What's it like putting out a comic in the middle of a personal pan pizza?
Whoo! So I will shout out to the editors, in-house editors, Will Moss and Sarah Brunstad, who are Goliaths in their field. And special shout out to Sarah, who is just always probing and asking and finding, this dope artist, to John Michael Innes, who's another one of the cohorts over at Marvel, to Sarah Amos, who has been working extremely hard. She's a VP of new media. She is definitely a sis who is just like always trying to make it work, as well as Tim Chang, who is our PR person who pushes it out. So I say all that to say it takes a village. I will not.
Sometimes a village on fire.
Sometimes, you just realize that you wonder how you did it when you weren't in a personal panorama on Pizza Sunday for 346 days. But whatever, who's counting? Not me.
I have to give a shout out because Rexus092, that's not his government name, said they had the chance to write. I had the chance to write my first Marvel.com article thanks to Angélique. She really puts in the work, and that's exactly what we need. Yes, she does. Deacon Fatal, yes. You're wait, I missed that. Wakandan Mage. Question to Angélique: which character is your favorite to write for Marvel's voices? Now, I don't know if you wrote any of them, right?
I don't write any.
Okay.
So the two things that I do, I help curate the Marvel's Voices Spotlight, which is an essay series that started from the original essays that came from Marvel's Voices #1. So those 12 essays are now a little bit of a tradition, which is very cool. Like we had David Bennicart come in and talk about his Marvel's cards, like his actual collection that he had, and how like it spawned him getting excited about superhero powers, because it was the first time he could classify the strength and what powers were on a card, like a baseball card. Alyssa Wong talks about writing Dr. Aphra, and how Dr. Aphra, being a queer Asian character in space, is like the dream. And so, just really exciting. So I do that. So I will say my favorite character, period, is Monica Rambeau, followed by Ace Spencer. For all of you who don't know, I'm a huge Prince fan, and there is a character named Ace Spencer, and I'm not going to go in my short box because it is buried under Marvel's Voices #1, not Legacy #1, but #1 comics. Ace Spencer is so good.
And listen, this is a Monica Rambeau stan show this evening because Krystina was in her feelings the first hour. I want to show people.
Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find.
Don't pull your mic off. Yes. Wait, hold it up again so we can see the close-up.
We stand a good sword.
And I didn't know those were available, so we're going to talk after the show because I need mine. So I definitely want to show the cover to Marvel's Legacy. And for those of you who don't know, this is what drops tomorrow.
Taryn Clark.
Yes, this is gorgeous. So tell me who's on this cover. I see Blade, I see Storm, I see Miss Marvel, I see Little Miles. Is that Jubilee?
It is Jubilee. That is Jubilee.
The upper right corner, is that America? Who's that?
The upper right corner, and this was a question that was asked, and I never got answered. It is from. So one of the things that I want folks to know about Marvel's Voices Legacy #1, not all the characters are in this book are Black. The writers are Black.
Got you.
And the writers got the chance to choose their own stories and to choose the characters they wanted to write about.
Got it.
And so the covers also have characters that they've chosen that mean something to them. For instance, this is Stephanie Williams' story. which is
Yay.
one
And
of my
listen,
favorites.
look, I don't even see the words. I just know you got Monica and Thor in the grocery store.
And there's collard
with
greens, and there's
and She-Hulk.
collards.
How?
Yes.
I love it.
So I mean, and if you haven't had a chance, you should watch. We did a premiere where Stephanie breaks down, and Stephanie is also been a guest on Marvel's Voices. She breaks down why she chose She-Hulk and Thor, and it's based on the Roger Stern run and their relationships from the 80s when Monica became
Photon.
leader of the Avengers in the 80s.
Oh, yeah, no, she was still Captain Marvel then. Yes.
Mhm.
And yes, quid pro quo. Thor is carrying
So
collards.
this one actually shows a story that we're really excited is going to be expanded. It is actually not in Marvel's Voices. We have a double story that's going to be in there from Danny
Okay.
Lore, who is one of my favorite writers. We have a Storm story that's been added to the book that was written and done. It's Danny Lore, Aletha Martinez, and one of the artists from Def Jam. And it's going to be pretty incredible. If you haven't seen that, there is a new article about that series. This is John Ridley's. So one side, you have a great Riri Williams story that I love called Decompression, I believe. You got to read it all the way to the end. It's really good. It's got Bam and Zoom, and it's got giants. It's great. On the other side is a great story actually by John Ridley,
Aha.
starring Miles Morales. And it is, I have no favorites per se. But Oliver Coppel did such a great job doing this art, but it's such a beautiful, wonderful, and also shout out to Laura Martin, because you have Laura Martin on colors.
Yeah, her colors are amazing, and she's legendary for colors at Marvel.
It's just it's vibrant, it's beautiful, it's simple, and it's such a great story to complement Saladin Ahmed's current run on Miles Morales.
Now is
So,
Laura oh yes, and then Domino.
and then you've got Domino with the legendary Ken Lashley and Toche Onyebuchi, who is now an NAACP nominated, very well known, not just a writer but a civil rights attorney. Tochi is fastly becoming one of my favorite people, but also this Domino story and this art is just sick. It's just
It is.
sick.
It's incredible. I mean, this action, this feels. I was about to say this feels like manga. It's the action is so well. But I mean, I love how this is
And
drawn.
Tochi's a big fan of manga, so I'm not surprised that that's how it comes off.
This is beautiful work. I mean, Angélique, I can't even tell you. And this all drops
and shout
tomorrow.
out, there's actually a story in there from Nnedi Okorafor as well. So we saw that when you saw the Venom. That's actually one
With
of
the
the characters
locks?
Nnedi created. She is differently abled, but when she has a symbiote in her, she's like that's when you see her in her flying stance. But it is actually a nod to the situation in Nigeria.
Oh, interesting.
What would
Interesting.
happen if we had superheroes to save us?
To save the children and stuff. Wow. That's fantastic. And this art is stunning. Everybody in the chat is saying the same thing. Yes, Deacon Fatal. I agree. Maverick Bap, what is the name of this? The name of the comic is Marvel's Voices Legends, and it
Legacy.
drops I'm sorry, Legacy, sorry. And it drops
No
tomorrow.
worries.
There's the cover. Thank you so much, Gaby. That's the cover, Maverick Bap. This is what's dropping tomorrow. If please, everybody, if we're gonna get more of these, we're gonna have to buy them. Game 3R Keb, it's fabulous. It is fabulous.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Angélique, there's something else that you said that I also really like. You said all of the creators for Marvel's Voices happen to be Black, but all of the characters they're creating aren't. And that has been a discussion, an ongoing discussion that a lot of people have been having. Like, yes, we need more diversity in comics, but why do why do the Black creators only have to draw Black characters? They don't. It would be
No.
nice if we got to write the stories, but of some Black characters, especially when they are dealing with a very cultural sensitive subject, just like you would want a queer writer to write a queer character. But no, they don't. And I love the fact that this issue is an example of that you are showing that, yeah, hello, we can do all the things. We can be lawyers and civil rights activists and
Yep.
and
Yep.
draw comics and be fans,
Yep.
Was that intentional when you went in, or was that just the pitches that you received?
So one of the cool things that I love about this book, and this was actually a tradition that Chris Robinson kind of instilled a little bit, is that there is an understanding for many of us that we associate with characters of color. If you ask a number of people, Nightcrawler is Black. Some people think Wolverine is Black. That's their personal opinion. You know, Hulk is associated with being Black. She-Hulk. Like, I actually spoke to Roxane Gay earlier in this Marvel's Voices season. The show is actually out and it's amazing. And she'd be like, I just always associated the Jen Walters with Black. She's green. She's a person of color. And I was like, well, you know what? I can't tell you how to feel about a character. Like, that is not because when you think about it, like, I love Gambit. That is not a popular opinion. I love Gambit. You wanna know why I love Gambit? Because I'm from Louisiana and he sounds like my cousins.
And that's why he's mixed and he's Black, but that's just my opinion.
Look, see, you got there on your own. I didn't say it. You said it, right? And then some people associate Domino because there is this whole larger conversation of mutants who appear to be just plain old Homo sapien, and then mutants who can't pass. Not necessarily the Morlocks, but like they can't pass. And so, you know, I think there is this beauty in what the powers and possibilities are of comic books and the Marvel continuity, that you don't want to cripple that, and you don't want to tell the writer, no, you got to write this. And so actually, I will tell you, Danny Lore put in a couple pitches before she was like, yeah, I want to put Blade in a bodega. They literally were like, I want to put Blade in a bodega. And I was like, Danny,
I love it.
Why is Blade in bodega? And they were
I
like,
love it.
it's in the neighborhood my dad grew up in.
No, but that's the part that I love. Why
crazy.
wouldn't he be in a bodega? Why is Luke Cage the only one to just be able, or Harley Quinn? And I know that's DC, but why are these two different?
But you said
like,
you said nothing but a word about Harley Quinn. What?
But I'm just saying, why are they the only ones allowed to get a bodega sandwich with cheese? Like, why? Why can't
Danny's story might be one of the most fun stories in the anthology, just because they're vampires in the Bronx in a bodega.
That's a movie. Vampires in the Bronx in a bodega. I'm here for this. I am here for this.
Look, it's great. It's great. And there's Blade. There's a lot of alliteration. I'm gonna have to ask them about all the B's. The Blade, the bodega, the Bronx. You have to ask them. So.
I am probing for questions. Somebody else asked, how do you deal with working the craft, and you were an editor in this case, and holding down a job? I think that's not fair, because Angélique's craft is her job. Yeah,
this is my job. So my job really is I'm a producer. I produce videos and I do storytelling and story work with a couple of other firms. But my main gig is finding ways to either tell, support, or enhance my ability to have other people tell good stories. Yeah, no, that's really it, right? It is one of those things that I think is really important. It's not easy. I don't sleep a lot. My phone's always by my hand. That's the thing.
That's hilarious. And the chat is agreeing. Petite Sarah agrees with me. No, but actually, that is a movie. Thank you, Petite Sarah. Maverick Bap, that sounds legit. 2099 Miguel, De Sousa Mero. I see it. They could be in the bodega too. D3 UC3er, I want a Blade solo comic book. I do too. I really want that one with his daughter that was supposed to come out. I'm not complaining to you, Angélique. I'm just saying, if you have a way to talk to the powers that be that can get us that comic, I would be very, very thankful. I am curious because Black Crystal talked about this in the last hour. What gets you through when you have those down days? Because listen, everything you're telling me is a lot of work on a good day, but in the middle of a personal pan pizza parallelogram, it's ridiculous. So what
this
gets you
Polaroid
through
has us all just.
So what gets you through on bad days? What is something that you watch, listen to, read, or is it not that at all? What gets you through those down moments? Because we all have
those moments where I spiral into the deep, dark abyss of TikTok. No, one of the things that has been getting me by, which is really weird. I've been reaching out to new friends. That's been pretty great, actually. We made some new friends in quarantine, which is weird, but kind of cool. I've not physically been in any vicinity of new friends, but for me, it honestly has been, cool stuff like I watched Aliens the other night, and y'all, man, somebody tried to come take my nerd card. It was my first time.
Because you've never seen it.
I hadn't. And look, I have seen a lot of things that other people have not seen. I have seen every version of Rebecca. I've seen every version of A Brave New World. Look, there are a lot of things that I have watched. I have watched Twice Bitten more times than most of you have watched Endgame. My point being is, though, I have never seen Alien. And so a friend of mine was like, yo, for real, like a new friend was like, yo, for real, you've never seen Alien, like, you need to watch Alien. I was like, all right, so I'm alive, tweet this.
So yeah, I need to know, because I thought you'd seen the later Aliens.
So I saw Prometheus and I saw Covenant, which is nowhere near as scary and terrifying as Alien and Aliens.
Wait, so Prometheus was your first Aliens movie?
No, I watched even worse. I accidentally watched Covenant. So I have to tell this backstory so you understand me.
Oh God.
So I have to tell. So has anybody watched Torchwood Miracle Day? You probably have. You can say it in the comments. Go at me. So I'm watching Torchwood Miracle Day one day after I was watching like Spartacus or Gladiator, whatever that thing was on the same channel. And suddenly I was like, did he just say the Doctor? Wait a minute. There's a Doctor Who reboot? I'm sorry. Time out. Stop watching the show. Go back, find every single version from 2005 on, and just start binging Doctor Who. Because I had accidentally watched half of Torchwood Miracle Day without realizing there was a Torchwood season 1 through 3. And so I'm the type of person that sometimes I will pick something up and I like it, and I'm just too far in that I'm just like, you know what? Fine. It's a prequel. How bad it's a prequel. Like, I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's a prequel. How bad can it be? I watched Aliens. And I watched that movie for free and I want my money back. And I want it back now. And also, it was probably right before I was interviewing Fosse for the X-Men panel that I did. I'm Fassbender, for those who don't know the nickname.
So that was, ladies and gentlemen, that was called the subtle flex. She calls Michael Fassbender Fosse. Wait,
spirit hands. So I was probably interviewing him, and I wanted to watch a movie that he was in, because Cameron, you know me, like, if I know I'm about to interview somebody, I'm gonna go, like, I've seen all of Tom Hiddleston's like, all of them. And so all of them, he worked hard to play Hank Williams. So point being is, I went back and I watched Aliens. And one of the great things about watching Alien and then watching Aliens is that people get real committed to you loving it. Unpopular opinion, this backfired on everybody when I watched Blade Runner, because It's overrated. You can at me. I got whole videos about it. My opinion is very public. But people got really, really they got involved in me liking this movie, and it was pretty great. And it felt like I was at the movie theater again.
Because I think
And it felt like we were all watching it
Twitter was
together.
just horrified, I think, to know that you had not just
And
hadn't
it
seen
was
the
really
movie, but
kind.
that you started with Prometheus. That's like saying the first Aliens movie you watched was Aliens versus Predator. Like,
I won't watch Predator. So that's a whole nother conversation. The same friend who got me to watch Alien and got me to watch Aliens. So by the way, nobody warned me about Aliens.
oh goodness. So
Can
we trust robots? Yes, that was very bad. Rexus, you still don't have Prometheus. That's okay. You're fine.
I don't. I've seen Prometheus. I'm very upset about it.
They haven't. So we're telling them that's okay.
You're fine.
It's all right.
You've already seen that. You've already seen that plot line. Real heated.
I know, but it's Aliens is really scary. And then when you think about the fact that the way Alien was made, and it didn't have the effects and things like that. So a lot of that, I love
Scott and James Cameron, both brilliant for completely different reasons.
Yeah. And it was so terrifying, and Prometheus was so not. I was mad.
It was not terrifying.
Yeah, well, but I want to know if there's anything else. So you talked about how you did Torchwood first, and you went back and did all the Doctor Who, then Aliens, and this sounds like a series to me. And then you did Prometheus, which was wrong, and going back to the beginning. So this should be another podcast called Angélique Watches Things Backwards.
Yes, that's generally what happens. I'm not gonna lie. I will see one thing and I'll be like, "I am Legend. What do you mean, Last Man on Earth? What do you mean, Omega Man? Oh, Shalom."
Yes.
This is what I do. And now I own all of them.
Now I'm curious because people in the chat also asked if you're watching any anime. I don't think Angélique watches that much anime. Do you?
No, I don't. So I was a child of the Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
I was. And I watched a couple other very it was middle of the road, inspired by anime stuff when I was younger. But my friends lost me when they started watching Cowboy Bebop. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I didn't get it at first. And then they went to go learn languages to watch their stuff and to watch the subtitles without going crazy. Right. And so I then went into journalism and was like, I'm gonna stick with Star Wars and vampires. This is great. I never went back to anime. I also too am about to backwards watch all of the DC animated movies I missed while I was in college and law school.
Honestly, and I also think you would love, if you don't have time to do full movies, I do think a series that you would love would be the Young Justice series. I think in terms of development, and also DC, I just think does animation better than Marvel. Not all of Marvel, because Avengers Assemble was very good, and I do think that the Marvel Rising was good, short-lived but good. But DC is very good at doing those longer movies. Also, Doom, which I feel
I am gonna watch Doom. I will also say I watch things like Doom Patrol, and I watch things like I like the live action stuff. I just haven't gotten into.
Doom is different though. Doom is Batman.
I was about to say I am very clear that Doom is different than Doom Patrol. I've realized that comparison meant live action versus animation, not concept. But the funny thing is, I know what most of the movies are about. I've just never watched them.
You gotta watch them, because also correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I'm almost positive that Doom was the last animated film that Dwayne McDuffie had producer credit on. And it was the thing that maybe made it awesome was how raw Batman was. He was like, because the crux of the whole thing, this is not giving away the story, but his whole thing was that, yeah, you guys are all superpowered and I'm not, but trust and believe, I found ways to take all of you out. And they were not
Here's the problem.
happy.
I don't like Batman.
But that's why you'll like Doom, because nobody likes Batman in this movie.
Oh, cool. Right. Bet.
Although, if the only Batman that you've been exposed to is Batfleck, then I think you have
Oh,
some
no,
other
no,
Batman
no,
on.
no, no, no. So
Okay.
again, live action versus animation and comics, different conversation. I have
Okay.
very clear opinions about my rankings of Batman and Bat movies for very specific reasons that get me
Okay.
befriended. And Batfleck is number 5. You can at me.
Yeah.
I don't care. He
Yeah.
comes after Clooney.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. JD Hayes 01, yes, I have a copy of that movie. Quid Pro Quo, Batman Being Trash. Yes, that movie could be called Batman Being Trash. Wakandan
I'm kind of
Mage.
excited now.
I think All Star Superman was Dwayne's last. You know what? You might be right about that. Also, if you watch the animated movie Flashpoint Paradox, there is no need to watch the CW show, because that
Too late.
is what the
I watched
CW
all
show
of
was.
them. I like a freaking cameo, and they gave me all of the cameo. I'm a sucker for a good cameo.
Yeah.
Just
So,
damn.
the last thing I gotta ask you before I let you go is, have you bought any Funko recently? Because I know you're a Funko Pop collector person.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know what I mean either. Ma'am.
Yeah, I pre-ordered several Monica Rambeau Funkos for my nieces, as well as my sister, who always wanted to be an astronaut.
That's cute
and has
for your
the exact
nieces.
hair.
Your nieces, not you.
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
story. And then I gotta pre-order this Tiana now from Boxed Lunch. If anybody wants to do that for me, let me know. I have no idea. I just moved to LA. I have no idea where Box Lunch is, but I'm gonna figure it out. And I actually, I got the new TLCs. They were a gift. I actually, I got that, and a friend of mine also gave me Duke Leto and Duncan, Idaho. I'm gonna say I like Duncan, Idaho because I like Dune, but really, let's just be real. That Duncan, Idaho was bought for one reason and one reason alone.
And what would that be?
Jason Momoa.
I knew it.
He's got come on, man. It's Duncan, Idaho, one of the best characters in the movie, just because he's a loyal friend. But then you gave it to Jason Momoa. Like they knew what they were doing.
They did. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Just like they knew what they were doing when they cast Chani. They knew what they were doing.
Absolutely. And I could geek out with you all night, but we are out of time. I thank you so much, Angélique Roché, for hanging out. I miss you. I miss we can do this more. Yes, hot. And thank you, everybody in the chat, for hanging out. And hopefully you have been inspired this week. Yes, Petite Sarah, thank you. Hopefully you've been inspired by my two guests tonight, Krystina, Arielle, as well as Angélique Roché. I am so excited. Angélique, tell everybody again where they can get Marvel's the Marvel comic. Wait. Yeah,
Yes.
where they can get the Marvel comic and where they can find you.
Dope. Sorry, I'm shuffling because the Agatha theme song is still in my head.
Oh my God.
Oh man, so good. Anyway, so tomorrow, February 24th, 2021, you can get Marvel's Voices Legacy #1 from your local comic book stores. You can also get it anywhere that you get your comic books. I'm so incredibly proud of this. I'm so incredibly proud that we've got folks like Stephanie Williams, Danny Lore, Nnedi Okorafor. Also like shout out to our legacy folks who have been part of Marvel's Voices, like Jeffrey Verigi, Vidi Ayala, David Walker, Sanford Green. Like, it's just incredible, the list of folks who have been involved with this. You can find me on the interwebs at Angélique Roché on Twitters, and then at Angélique Roché Official on Instagram. And since I know Karima will get me for not saying my TikTok name, it is the exact same. It is Angélique Roché Official, because someone will not give up Angélique Roché on Twitter.
I don't know what that's about.
Because there's only one. On Instagram.
On Instagram. Yeah, I don't know what that's about, because there can be only one. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Thank you all for checking out the Blerd Girl Live. I am going, and I need you all to check out Factions Battlegrounds. They are the sponsor. They were sponsors last week too. Please go to factionsbattlegrounds.com and check out, buy, pre-order Factions Battlegrounds. The game's an amazing, very easy to play tabletop RPG and was made with such a diverse group of people. Kind of reminds me of Marvel's Voices a little bit. Please follow me, the Blerd Girl. I'm the Blerd Girl, TheBlerdGurl, everywhere. I'm always on Twitter, but also please support my Patreon. It's patreon.com/theblerdgirl, because your help helps me bring you more amazing people. But thank you again for joining me. Thank you, everybody in the chat. You were all so amazing. And I will see you next week.